Hello and welcome to another episode of the Hollywood Knitter. I'm Allison, your host, and I'm recording on Monday, May 2nd, 2016 from my home in Los Angeles, California. How's everybody doing? I have been busy lately. I've gotten, I think, a lot of knitting done in the last few weeks, and I've had some adventures and some yarn acquisitions, and I want to tell you all about it. So, let's get started right into the FOs. First up, I finished my adorable little sheepy. This is a Susan B. Anderson pattern, and I think it's actually the Wee Lammy, Wee Sheepy pattern. I've had it in my queue forever, and I wanted to knit it as a little palette cleanser for some of my other projects, though it every time I do that, I remember how fiddly softies are. I don't mind doing them every so often, but oh my goodness, all you people who do them all the time, hats off to you, because this took me a while to do. The main part of the body is a boucle that I can't even tell you what it is. I've had it in my stash so long. I've had just a bit of it in my stash. So I had earmarked it for this pattern a while ago, and then the brown is probably some Karen Simply Soft or something like that I had a ball of it in my stash too. But I knit this, took me, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks to do, because you have to do all the little pieces. But I think it's adorable. The body turned out a little bit fatter than I expected, because of course I didn't gauge or anything. I sort of just did it. And then followed the pattern, and I think my boucle actually resulted in a little bit bigger body than the pattern intended for, and then like my head and my legs were the right size. But this is a pattern by Susan B. Anderson. I believe it's a free pattern, and you basically do the body. It's like a big ball, and then you do a little tail, and then everything else is done in pieces. So the legs are actually, the little foot part is done in a piece, and then the little leg, and very cool little leg, you cut up straw pieces, and that's how they stick out. But they basically are 2 separate pieces you sew together, and then you sew them to the body, and then you do the head, and this is really cute. I think this is what's adorable. This is this little twisty stitch to make this kind of like hair that you put on top, and then you sew it on, and then I just used some embroidery floss to do the face. It actually called for some little stuff in, like a little line of embroidery as a foot thing, but I didn't think it was needed. So I'm happy with it. I used some more stash though. I have both of these, more of these left, but it's okay. It's gonna sit somewhere in my living room and keep me company. But it was a cute little thing that I finished. So the Wee Lammy by Susan B. Anderson in stash. I can't even tell you what it was, but I think it could be used for a lot of different things, and it does make a little cute stuffy, easy to use. So that was my first FO. My second FO I'm really proud of, mainly because I knit so fast. So I don't even know, I think I cast on for these last time. These are socks, obviously, socks. These are socks for my boyfriend, and the pattern is Vanilla Bean sock recipe from Emily O'Grady. And I knit this in Kirby Werby Lark, and so it's a self-striping. And I did toe up, fish lips kiss heel, and then I did a twisted rib at the top. Now, what was cool about these is that I have been knitting on these as my sock knitting, my purse project for a while, but then this weekend when I traveled, I finished off the sock on the plane, cast on the toe, and then between that and then actually before I boarded my plane, I finished the whole sock while I was in Austin. That's probably the fastest I've ever knit a sock. I was knitting quite a bit. Every time I had a down moment, I felt like knitting, which isn't always the case. Sometimes especially when I'm traveling and talking, but I had probably a few hours to knit every day. Whenever we traveled in the car, I knit. I visited a friend, and the whole time we were just chatting and catching up, I knit. So I finished it in 2 days. So I was really excited. And these are for a size 10. So these are 72 stitch foot, 68 inch leg, because he's got skinny legs. But for a size 10, 11, he's one of those. So really excited to have these done. And I wanted to have these done because I'm going to cast on another pair of socks on May 4th in 2 days, also for him, because Mustache Yarns is doing a knit along with her sock yarn that I showed you last time. This is her, May the 4th be with you. So she's doing a knit along between, I think, May 4th and June 4th using her yarns and her Star Wars colorways. So I'm going to be doing that in the C3PO for him, and I'm really excited. So I wanted to finish these socks before I cast on the next ones, because I don't like whips. So I don't like to just drop something, pick something else up. That bothers me. So I finished it. It was happy, and I'm going to be scanning this up or winding it up tonight. So I will have it all ready for a cast on May 4th in 2 days. Very excited. So he's gonna get another pair of socks. This makes his 4th pair of socks. So this is his 3rd I've knit him, and then he inherited a pair that was too large for me. I think I'm gonna kind of have a goal of trying to knit him 12 pairs of socks this year. Maybe not 12, definitely 6. So I'll be casting on, well, I won't count with Christmas socks. So I've knit him 2 pairs so far, and this will be the 3rd that I'm going to cast on. So let's say 6 this year, because I want to fill his drawer with socks, because he wears them all the time. He wears them to work. He wears them. He doesn't care. He wears them because he's a inspector, so he wears them in his boots, and he likes them. And come on, who doesn't want to make things for people who like them? So what else? My whips. That leaves me with 2 whips only. My blanket, which I haven't really worked on since I last showed you, so I won't. So my linen stitch blanket, which I finished I finished to the 12 inches, and today I'll actually start working on it again for the next 3 inches for May. The other thing I brought to knit on, which thank goodness I did, is my Citron shawl. And this is in the Malabrigo lace, the single ply, and the Polar Morn. And I am through 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm in the 4th repeat, and I plan on doing 8. Of course, they get much longer as you keep going. But it's pretty mindless, and it actually takes a while. A lot of, knitting and purling and lace. So I did get some of that done on the plane on the way home. But actually my hands started hurting because I've been knitting so much, so I had to stop and chill out. So that is the only real thing I have on the needles right now besides my blanket, and then I'm going to cast on for the socks and getting through those things. So the other thing I really want to talk about is my trip that I just came back from last night, and that was my girls' weekend trip to Austin. This is a trip I do with 2 of my college roommates, and then this year, or this trip, we added a friend of one of my friends. That doesn't explain anything. She is a med school friend of one of my best friend, college roommate, and best friend from high school. We actually went to college together, and then she went on to med school, and this is a friend of hers from med school who was in her wedding and who I've met a few times. And so we're at the wedding in August. She really jived with us, and so we're like, hey, maybe we should see if she wants to join our girls' weekend trips, because we do these every year. And she was happy to, and she was happy to, have a weekend with girls. And so we went to Austin. She actually did the booking this year for our lodging. So we got a condo in South Congress, SoCo area of Austin, and it was beautiful. It was a 2-bedroom, 2-level, or actually a 3-level, but 2-level condo with parking on the bottom. Really centrally located right off of Congress Street, if you guys are familiar with Austin. Totally met our needs, which we like to be comfortable, and then we like to have a place to hang out, because we do a lot of just hanging out and talking when we do these weekends, in addition to going and doing some other things. So for the trip, I flew out Friday, and I ended up renting a car, and they had already all gotten there by the time I got into Austin around 1. And so I drove over in my rental car. Now, the rental car was kind of funny. I knew I wasn't going to be driving that much. I needed the rental car because I was leaving really late on Sunday because I was going to see another friend. So I wanted to have my own transportation. So I just rented, a compact car through online, really cheap. And when I got there, they're like, okay, compact car, is that fine? I'm like, sure. And then she's looking and she's like, what do you think about a truck? I'm like, a truck? That's not compact. And I was like, well, I don't mind a truck. How big a truck? And like a 4-door truck. And I'm like, ooh, thinking, hey, I could totally get like my Texas on. But then I thought, wait, we're staying in this condo where there's no parking. And so we were going to be parking in the garage, and it's a 2-car garage. I'm like, I don't think a truck will fit in that. She's like, well, your only other option right now is a minivan. I was like, really? I only have, for my compact car, I only have the choice of a 4-door truck or a minivan? And she started laughing, and she's like, yeah, that's what we have right now. And I was like, all right, well, I guess it has to be the minivan. So I totally was getting my soccer mom on in my minivan driving around Austin. So anyways, I went and joined them and saw the place, and it was beautiful. And then almost immediately we had to go out to the mall and go shopping because my friend is a very excellent doctor, but a very spacey person. And she was on call the night before and actually got called in and had to do some emergency surgeries and hadn't packed. So was running very late, almost missed her plane, and so ended up throwing clothes in her bag, which did not include any clothes for going out. We were planning on going out Friday night, which we did, and we had a nice dinner scheduled for Saturday night, which she had told us. She scheduled it and told us, bring a dress, bring a nice dress. And she didn't have any of that. So we had to go over to the mall, and we did some emergency shopping for her. And I actually picked up a pair of shoes at Steve Madden, which was really cool. I picked up a pair of flats, and I was pretty excited about them. But she was able to find everything she needed there, emergency going out outfits. After that, we came back and rested for a little while. We did a lot of resting and napping and chilling because that's part of being a weekend away. And then we went out to try to see the bats. Austin has the largest population of bats in North America that lives under a bridge, the Congress Bridge, actually, that goes right next to, that's right at downtown. And it's 1.5 million bats. So when they come out at night, which is anywhere from a half hour before the sun sets to, I guess, a half hour to an hour afterwards, usually, it's a great spectacle to see all these bats come out to go feeding for the night. So we took an Uber over there, and we got there about 7:30, and sunset was like at 10 past 8, and there was already people on the bridge, and so we staked out a spot, and we proceeded to wait, and wait, and wait, and wait. The bats didn't come out. Now, I should say that the weather in Austin on Friday was stormy. It was scattered storms here and there. It was very muggy. Holy moly, I got off the plane. It was like slapped by humidity. And I used to live in humidity in New England. I've just forgotten because we don't have it in Southern California. You know, we're a very dry, arid kind of climate. So it was, I kept complaining about the heat and the humidity, and my friend's like, this is Texas. This is Texas in the summer. This is what it is. But the bats didn't come out, and I think they didn't come out because there were a lot of storm cells in the area. So I think the pressure was so much so that they knew that there was a storm coming, and so that they just stayed and didn't come out, or only a few came out that were really hungry, or maybe they came out really late later, and I don't know. But we waited an hour and a half and never saw the bats. So after that, we went over to an area that our Uber driver had recommended, the Rainey Street area, which is kind of like a nightlife area. And of course, we were really hungry by then. So we found a restaurant, I think it was Sova, that was able to seat us and feed us at around 9:30. And we just did a bunch of little small plates there, and it was really good. The only sad thing, and this was kind of my thing through the weekend, is like I never got like a draft beer that was a local, like Austin beer or even a Texas beer. This was like a wine bar, and so only their beer was bottled, which made me sad, though I did have one. After that, we were thinking of going out, but it was busy when we went in at 9:30. When we came out at 10:30, 11, it was crazy busy. There was a bunch of bars and clubs, and we just didn't feel like it. We were like not feeling into the whole clubbing thing, and my friend who had been working the night before and almost missed her plane was just dead tired. So we're like, let's just go back. So we went back and put our PJs on and kind of called in at night early for some of those, and I stayed up for a little while, and then that was our Friday night. Saturday we got up and we had been planning on going somewhere for breakfast, so we all got up and got dressed and kind of planned. We had talked about hiking, we had talked about a Segway, but we didn't know what the weather was going to be. So we decided, because we were in this area which has a lot of cool shops and things like that, that we would just plan on just doing a really long walk. From where we were staying to like the downtown area, it was like 2 miles. So we all, put our appropriate shoes, and I threw my hiking clothes on, and then we walked over to breakfast, and we had a wonderful breakfast at the South Congress Cafe, and then just proceeded to walk down. Well, we walked all the way to downtown because none of the stores in this area opened before 11, which I thought was like late. I guess Austin is a late riser in general. So we walked all the way down to downtown and kind of checked out the river and walked around along the path a little bit and checked out the boathouse, where there were a lot of people were getting like kayaks and stuff because it was a beautiful day that day. There were no storms. The humidity had let up a little bit, so sun was shining. It's a beautiful day. And then when we walked back, we earned ourselves some ice cream. So we had Amy's Ice Cream, which I guess is a Austin institution. We also went to this little place that we saw on the way. It was like a monster kind of wax museum, and we went in, and it had a bunch of like cool t-shirts, and if you bought a t-shirt you got free admission to the museum. So 2 of us bought t-shirts, and then the other 2 of us just paid the $8 admission to walk through. And it was like creatures from all of the classic movies, so Frankenstein, The Mummy, all your like 1930s 1940s creatures, and with, I think the alien was in there too, though. That was the only other one that was kind of, modern. And then we kind of just did some shopping. I got, let's talk about before I talk about the yarn I got, because I did get some yarn. I got this awesome purse. I went into the store, and this is Riat, and this is a Rachel Elise bag. And it's hand-printed fabrics, and it's a messenger style bag, and it's all canvas, like a wash canvas, a regular canvas, and I guess she has these prints made up specially for her, and it's leather, and I was like, I really like that bag. So I picked it up as my new purse. I'm really excited, and I've actually checked her out, and she has an Etsy store selling this exact purse, actually. So I'm gonna link this because I think you should check these out. I'm really pleased. I immediately started using it because, of course, I'd only brought my big red tote knitting bag from the yarn store that went out, or the purse place that just went out of business. I'm blanking on it, but it's big and bulky, and I didn't want to be walking around with it because it was too heavy. I don't like things heavy on my shoulders. So I immediately started using this because I had just been putting my little wallet and my phone kind of in my shirt to hold it. So that immediately became used, and I'm really pleased with it. It's going to be my new purse. It's a perfect size for a small knitting bag, for my toilet, my makeup, and then like your phone and my wallet. All fits in here perfectly. So really pleased with it. I feel like I did more shopping on this trip than usual. I'm not usually a girly shopper, and I bought a pair of shoes and a purse. Crazy. Now, one of the things I had checked out, where were the yarn shops? And the one that was nearby that I thought I was going to go on Sunday, but we were on Congress, and Hill Country Weavers was on Congress. So while we were popping in and out of the stores, and there were a lot of little cute stores there with lots of cool stuff, I said, hey, to my friends, I'm going to go run to the yarn store so you guys don't have to hang out with me. You guys can poke along these stores and then just meet up with me. So I went over there, and they had a beautiful shop. And this is a 2-part shop. Apparently they have an outlet shop and like the main shop, and I never even made it to the outlet shop part of it because my friends came in, and I didn't want to keep yarn shopping when the point was that we were going to be hanging out together. But I did walk around, and they had, Shibui, Malabrigo, hedgehog fibers, lots and lots of beautiful things. But I asked whoever was working there, and I didn't catch their name, I'm from out of town, I'm from LA. What are either, Austin specific yarns, yarn specific, or, things I can't get other places. So she pointed me to a section of the store that had Vice yarns, which I guess is really close to them. It's not in Austin, but very close. Yarn Carnival, which is dyed in Austin, and the woman dyeing who does that yarn was actually teaching a class at the same time. And that yarn, I had actually picked up some when I was in DC last year, so I didn't pick up some of that, though I was tempted. And then she pointed me to this other yarn that she says is their yarn, made for them. It's called Kayree's Twist, and it is a DK weight yarn, and it's 55% merino, 35% Texas mohair, and 10% tencel. And it's 330 yards for 115 grams. And I was like, this looks like kind of what I would want. I was like, oh, the thing is like when I was picking it up and I got 2 colors, I was like, what am I going to make with it? And I was like, all right, they had a ton of shop samples. I'm like, I bet you they have a sample knit up. And I pulled this shawl down, and it's called Keep Austin Weird, I think, or Keeping It in Austin. And it was a sample for this yarn that I guess was, the pattern was designed for this yarn by the shop. So I immediately favored it. It's a 2-color shawl. It has lace work and striping in it, and it's a triangular shawl. And this one, their shop sample has fringe on it. I'm not sure I'm going to do it with fringe, but I was like, awesome. I love the pattern. I picked out 2 colors and added it to my favorites and bought the yarn, and that's what I'm going to knit, and it's going to be my Austin Remembrance project, though I don't know when I'm going to get it. I put it in the queue already. So really like the yarns. I like finding yarns that are unique and you can't find anywhere, and this is only, you know, sold at Hill Country Weavers. Again, the yarn is Kayree's Twist, and I got color Comanche and Palo Pinto, which is like a raspberry and a gray, and that's going to be my stripes. And yeah, and it feels really soft, and the shawl felt really nice, and it really sold me that sample and that particular shawl that I'm going to knit up. So these were my yarn acquisitions. Then after that, we walked all the way back, and then it was nap time. Everyone kind of took a nap. This is how I got my sock knit. I didn't take a nap. I knit for like 3 hours while everyone else napped and watched some Netflix and stuff. That night we went to a really nice dinner. One of the things my friend loves to do is book one really nice dinner, and so she found a really good restaurant and had a 7-course tasting meal. It was a small restaurant where not the shtick, but basically it's kind of like a large kitchen, and all of the seats are around it, and you see the chefs preparing everything. There's no glass, there's no nothing. So they prepare every course for you, and then they come give it to you, and then one of the chefs explains what you're eating. And it was excellent. It was very good. My favorite, well, one was like a shaved cured ham that they had put in with some sunflower seeds and some like brown butter. Oh, it was so good. The other thing I really liked, they had like a fish dish that was really good. And they had a course, their dessert course was very interesting. It was carrot. So it was like a sweetened carrot sorbet with like dried carrot. It was like a carrot mousse and a carrot thing. It was really good, actually. It was very different, but I ate it all up. So that was, 2 or 3 hours of yumminess. And then we're like, all right, we wanted to go see 6th Street, which is the famous downtown area in Austin. And so we were really close to it. So we walked over. Now, keep in mind, we were all dressed up. Nice dresses, going out. And then we start walking down 6th Street. And 6th Street is really like college bars. I mean, a lot of bars. I'm sure they're not all college, but it's that kind of feel, that kind of going out. Like, it reminded me very much of different areas of Miami, of New Orleans, where there's just 3 or 4 blocks where they shut the street down and it's just bar after bar after bar, and they have live music and they have this. And we were walking, it was probably like 10:30, and we're like, where do we want to go? And I'm like, well, first of all, I feel like we're all overdressed, which everybody going out there is kind of in jeans and nice tops, and we're like in heels and nice dresses. And then my friend says, well, I don't want to pay a cover. And I'm like, well, I don't want to wait for a drink. And they're not big drinkers anyway. So I'm like, you know what? So we walked the whole strip, and I'm like, I feel like we've seen it. And I've been there before. I've actually gone to Austin before. So I've gone out on 6th Street. I'm like, I don't really feel the urge to go out. Do you guys? And they said no. And I'm like, damn it. We really are turning into old ladies. So we Ubered it home and got in our PJs again, and we watched American Gigolo with Richard Gere, which I'd never seen, and hung out on the couch and, did that. Got another good night's sleep. And the next morning, kind of packed up. We had gone to the grocery store on Friday. Heeb's, I guess, which is their kind of grocery store, which stands for H-E Butts, which made me laugh because I'm 12. I don't even know if Heeb's is how you say it. It's H-E-B. But, so we had gotten some snack food, so we ate that kind of for breakfast because I wanted to go and get barbecue. So we drove out to the Salt Lick Barbecue, which is about a half hour, 25 minutes outside of Austin in Driftwood, Texas. And I had gone there before, and it's a very highly rated barbecue place. It comes up on a lot of the lists because it's out in the country. They do a ton of barbecue. They have a great place there, outdoor seating, indoor seating, and etc. So we got there about 10:40. We're waiting for it to open. And along the way, I saw wildflowers. I saw 2 or 3 bluebonnets on the side of the road, but the beautiful bluebonnets that I'd seen on Instagram a few weeks before were done. My friend who's from Texas, she lives in Houston, she says, bluebonnet season is done. But managed to see 1 or 2 that were hanging on, straggling. But in general, there were lots of yellows and oranges, which were still beautiful. And it was so green, which I love to see because LA is getting brown. We get brown in the summer. We're green in the spring. And the barbecue was excellent. My friend from Houston was like, I don't know why we're driving all the way out here for a barbecue. I don't mean, she's like, how good can it be? And, we were worried. Well, I wasn't worried, but they're like, yeah, we got to get, our friend to the airport. And they were driving back to Houston because my other friend flew into Houston. And I was like, look, the barbecue was really good last time I was here. And I wanted to get some Texas barbecue before I left Texas. So we ordered all our barbecue. And it was funny because our other friend, she's actually a vegetarian. So we brought her to have barbecue with us. And she's a good sport. She does not, most vegetarians are. So she, settled herself with the beans and the coleslaw and the potato salad. Well, we got ribs and brisket. And it was good. And my friend who's from Texas was eating it going, this is good barbecue. So I overate because I couldn't take any home, and it was so good. So we did that, and then drove back, and they dropped me off at my minivan, and then they went on their way either to Houston or the airport. And then I took the opportunity to go over to an old friend of mine who lives in Houston and met I know his wife. That last time I was in Austin, they got married. That's why I went. And I got to meet their daughter, which I hadn't met before. And I spent 3 hours over there, 4 hours just sitting outside and knitting while we talked and caught up and did all that. And then I headed on my way because it was Sunday. And I know when you're a family like that, like you get a lot of stuff done on Sunday, and they had to start feeding the kid and et cetera, et cetera. And I had a lot of time to kill. So I just sort of took a winding road. I just drove for like an hour and a half, kind of all around outside of Austin through the hills. And I think I went through by some big lake and kind of drove around. And then I was like, all right, might as well go kill time at the airport where I can knit. So I ended up getting to the airport 3 hours before my flight, and then just kind of found a really quiet part of the airport and watched some podcasts and knit on that sock. And that's where I finished it up. So I got a lot of knitting time. And got on the plane, flew home, got in. And the only other thing is I had parked at a new parking garage because my boyfriend went out of town yesterday. He had to go down to Mexico. So he wasn't going to be able to pick me up. So I drove myself to the airport on Friday and then parked at this parking lot, and then so I could drive myself back on Sunday. And because I use the airport parking gives you the deal. It's like valet parking. So I was like, all right. So got there. It was actually awesome. I got off the plane, pulled out, and like the shuttle to the parking was right there. Got on, gave my ticket to the driver so they can call in the number so my car can be waiting for me when I get there. I was like, oh, this is going to be awesome. It's going to be fast. I prepaid, should be out You know, I should be from landing to in my car on my way home in like 15 minutes. Got there and it was madhouse. There were lots of people, lots of cars. Apparently that's a really popular time to come back from the weekend. So ended up going in and they're like, all right, you know, I gave them my ticket, here's 3 or 4. Like, all right, they're going to be bringing your car. See, the keys are already gone. And then they're serving other people. Every so often the guy's like, do you see your car yet? Because the paperwork comes with the car. And that's how they check me out. I said, nope, I don't see the car. 5 minutes pass. You see your car yet? Nope. Now they're like, why don't you see your car? Your car should have come down by now. And so now they're like talking. Now everyone's getting involved. Another 10 minutes go by. Then they're talking to all the people. Who's got the keys for this 304, which was my ticket number? Nobody's got it. And then they keep asking, is this your car? I'm like, no, that's not my car. What's your car? You know, they went, the manager got in the truck to go find it, to go find the car, and then he comes back. I'm like, is my car here? Like, yeah, your car's here. Well, where's the keys? And I was starting to think, oh my goodness. And they're very apologetic. Like, I had 2 guys, the young guy come up, even while they're trying to find my car, he's like, I'm so sorry about this. You know, here's 3 free days of parking. And I was like, uh-huh. Then the big manager comes afterwards, and he gives me another 2 days. Well, turns out one of the very busy young guys who had been running around had like a hoodie on with a big pocket, and I guess that's where he put the keys, and he'd grabbed multiple keys and gone cars, and he had my car keys in his pocket. And so after I'd been standing there a half hour, apparently he's like, oh my God, I have them. And I see this from a distance. Like I see, because the manager's trying to like figure out where could my car keys be. And all of a sudden I see him kind of like yelling at this guy a little bit, and I see the guy take off, and then he comes back towards me, and I was like, did he just find my keys? And because I was starting to get a little worried, thinking, oh man, if they lost my keys, my extra key fob's at home. I live 35 minutes from the airport for them, and I would have made somebody drive me home to get it, to come back to get the key fob, to do the thing, and then I'm like replacing the fob, and I'm like, oh God. And it's, you know, 11:15, 11:30 on Sunday night. I've been traveling. I was like, oh. And then they're like, no, we have your car. And then they're very apologetic. And I wasn't upset, you know, mistakes happen or whatever. I was just really relieved they found the car. And so I got on my way, and I was home by 11:30, 11:45. And then I took the opportunity to sleep in a little, though I was woken up by my coworker who's like, where are you? Why aren't you at work? Because I'm usually at work at 6. And I had pre-approved with my boss that I wasn't going to come in till like 9, but I didn't tell all my coworkers, so they were like worried. So it sort of woke me up, but that's okay. It was good. It was a great trip. I have barely time to breathe before my next trip. I'm going to Maryland Sheep and Wool, which is why I wanted to get this in, because I know I'm going to have lots to talk about probably for my next trip. I fly out on Thursday night, taking the red eye. My friend Michelle picks me up on Friday. I think we're planning on going to Fiberspace. I think they have a Hazelnuts trunk show, Maryland Sheep and Wool, Saturday or Sunday or both. I'm not sure. I think we want to go to the Knot House again in Maryland. And yeah, just hang out with friends, hugging small children, sniffing yarn. And right now I'm trying to figure out what I want to buy. I want to kind of have a list. I am going to definitely get a fingering weight skein. I want to find some sock yarn that I could knit Juan Carlos some more socks. So I need more manly colors, or manly-ish. And I think there's some sweaters I might be on an eye, looking out for a sweater's worth of something. So I want to pull some patterns so I have some information on stuff that I want. So I'll be doing that this week before I fly out. Not this week, in the next few days. And what else do I have? Oh, so my friend Garyetta, who I have knitted before, is my friend from high school and college, and my bestie, had sent me a picture, and she's like, hey, this happened to my hat. Do you think that you can fix it? And I was like, I looked at the picture, and I'd knit this for her a while ago. I don't know, a few years ago. And I think it's Megan Williams For Good hat. It's one of her patterns. Anyway, she sent it, and I looked at it, and I said, well, bring it, and I'll see what I can do. And she did. And this is what I got. Yeah, apparently she washes the hat, because it's a super wash, and it was a hat at the time that she was sort of like, I don't know if I really like it. And I'm like, well, I made it for you, so take it. And I guess she wears it, and every time she wears it, she gets compliments. So she has been wearing it lovely, and I think it's because this flower button is awesome. But she washes it, and I guess it got snagged in the washing machine and unraveled. It doesn't look like it ripped, thank goodness. I think it just unraveled. I think I totally will be able to just pick this up and reknit it and close the top again. I was worried that it actually ripped and broke the yarn, and I was like, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to fix it, but, you know, bring it. But now that I've looked at it, and it's really just the long loops must have unraveled the end, and it got loose and then unraveled somehow. Yeah, so I got a little soft repair to do. I said I would repair it and then send it back to her. So I'll try to do that maybe even this week. It shouldn't take me that long to do. But this hat has turned out really well. I can't even remember what this yarn was, but it feels really soft. And how can you complain with such a well-loved hat that she's asking me to repair it instead of, you know, she totally could have just trashed it and I wouldn't have known. So I'm really happy that she is knit worthy, which I knew. And I will be repairing this hat and hopefully easily and sending it off. I got to pull the pattern and look at it because I don't remember. It was a pretty simple pattern, but yeah, so that's all I have. As I said, I'm going to Maryland Sheep and Wool this weekend, and then I come back on Sunday night, and I'm here a few days, and then the next Friday I am going to Yuma, Arizona, taking the train again, where I will meet my boyfriend and then drive back with him on the Sunday. So busy travel time. 3 weekends in a row is a lot of time for me to be out of town, almost more so than even I like, and I love traveling. So I know after that, I will be definitely looking forward to hanging out home for a few weeks before, well, Memorial Day weekend. We're thinking of going down to San Diego. And then that following weekend, I will be going to Zombie Apocalypse, where I'm very, very excited to attend. Lots of knitting goodness in the next month. Maryland Sheep and Wool and Zombie Apocalypse. Yay! So that's all I have today. I hope everyone is having a wonderful May. And the weather isn't getting everyone down. I've seen some crazy storms and hails and different things like that. And I hope everyone is safe and spring/summer is coming to everyone. And I hope to see some of you guys at Maryland Sheep and Wool next weekend. If you see me, I don't know if I'm going to the podcaster meetup. I may or may not. I don't know if it's going to work with when we're there or not. But if you see me, stop me and say hi. Now that I'm actually video, people know what I look like. So if you are a viewer and you see me, totally stop or just yell Allison or Hollywood Knitter and say you're a viewer and come say hi. I would love to meet you, especially if I'm not at the podcaster meetup. If I am, then that's an easier spot, but I can't promise I'll be there. And yeah, so that's a wrap from Hollywood, where fantasy meets fiber and dreams are neat. Are knit. Bye, everybody.